Dear non-Germans, what do you think of Germany? One of the first labs I worked in, I had a German boss. I'll never forget the way he would skip over wide swaths of details saying, and blah, blah. That's right, only two blahs. So I asked a coworker why drive. Bossman would only say two blahs and he replied, because it's more efficient. So ever since then I've thought of Germans as very efficient. It's alright. I've been there a lot. I'm from Switzerland, so a lot of field trips were to Germany when I was in school. I'm confused by not Swiss German. But otherwise it's cool. When I visited Berlin, I was surprised they use the honor system for transit. You can walk into the U-Bahn without having to go through a barrier. Thank you for giving Burnt Das Brot to the world. For those unaware, it's a children's puppet show about a bread loaf with depression. And one of his catchphrases is, "My life is hell." I couldn't possibly make that up if I wanted to. Some of the episodes are on YouTube with English subtitles and I really recommend people to check it out. 7-1. Some lovely baked goods. They were harsh on my country and Brazil in the World Cup. Y'all MFERS got a no speed limit highway. It's both intriguing and scary. Good on you, Germany. Nice currywurst. I've been exposed to edit. Und jetzt habt alle das dieser Lesen auch bin exposed. Tut mir leid. Mein Deutsch ist scheiß. My wife worked in Germany for 3 years at an English-speaking daycare near Weimar. Her stories have reshaped everything I think about Germany and especially the language. Popular media makes German sound angry and harsh. When someone you love speaks German, it sounds warm and comforting. My perspective is that Germany really has its shit together. Kids are kinder there. I am from Russia. The most people in my country think that Germany is very rich and this country is the main subject in Europe. We don't associate Hitler Germany with modern Germany. Lived there about a year. Bavaria from US. You all know how to drive. You all know how to do bike trails. You know how to do beer and wine affordably and no open container laws. Southern Germany is beautiful. You all do fresh meat and bread 100% better than the US. Pretzels. DNER kebab is some good shit. As a Swede, I look at Germany kind of like our bigger cousin who has a dark past but who has now radically bettered themselves to the point that we now look up to them as close friend and even protector. Swedish and German culture also feels very similar. We have the same strict, rule-abiding and moralistic outlook, rooted in a shared Lutheran inheritance, as well as both being somewhat cold and standoffish and valuing logic and efficiency over feelings and emotions. I'm an American and I spent 3 weeks in Berlin in 2015. Overall, Germany struck me as a well-functioning society with a gritty, dark, creative, punk, irreligious, artistic vibe. Maybe that was just Berlin, though. I have been there a few times, but was there last year for Oktoberfest and I absolutely love it for so many reasons. 1. Bavaria is almost impossibly beautiful. I'm from Ohio, so it doesn't take too much. 2. Clean, charming towns with nice people and small shops everywhere. 3. The roads make so much more sense than in the US and I hardly speak any German. No potholes. Seriously. Not one. And everyone does everything they are supposed to do. So driving is easy. 4. The portions with no speed limit or a winding road through a forest made me realize what absolute shit road laws and layouts that we have. A fun car is totally wasted here. 5. Even in Munich, I didn't see any homeless people ranting and raving or otherwise just cast aside to fend for themselves. I'm sure it happens, but I can be accosted 50 times walking a couple miles. 6. Coming home we landed in Charlotte and I saw more out of shape people in the airport than I did the entirety of Germany. 7. I love German food and beer anyway. But from the source, amazing. Also, a half-liter of beer is actually cheaper than a pint of even cheap domestic beer here. Let alone a craft beer. Though I do love our craft beer selection compared to theirs. There's many more reasons, but I imagine this will get buried anyway. I've traveled all over the world and don't buy the whole socialism as evil line here, but I don't think I realized just how hard they're lying to us about it. Even then, I was like, well, the taxes though, right, looked it up and it was pretty much the same. You know, except for the part where they get free education and healthcare. I wish more people here knew what different cultures are like. There are a lot of them that do at least a few things better than us. They make for great bad guys in movies. I admire Germany for what I've heard about their education on World War II and how they don't hide all of the atrocious things they've done in the past. Unlike where I live, I don't know much else. Other than your language is a little harsh sounding, but beautiful. As an American, I have a ton of respect for Germany. I lived in Tübingen for a year of uni and my PhD thesis mentor in the US was a German. A few observations. 1. The gap between rich and poor seems much smaller in Germany. Many professions are paid less in Germany. But others, like teachers, are paid more. We should pay teachers more. Maybe then our citizens wouldn't be so stupid in a time of global crisis. Maybe. 2. The healthcare is great, and I felt like physicians didn't want to do so much unnecessary stuff as they do in the US. 3. I feel like Germans get a bad rep for being brutally honest, but I appreciate that. I think it's better to know where you stand than have this odd sort of ambiguity that occurs a lot in relationships and interactions in the United States. 4. I've never had beer as good in the US as all the little random local breweries in Germany. Man, I miss that. 5. Christmas time, the bakeries and Christmas markets are just first rate. 6. I went a whole year with no car in Germany. It was amazing. I wish I could do that in Texas. But it's pretty difficult with the state of our public transit. 7. My dorm room in Germany was so much bigger, nicer, and cheaper than most dorm rooms I've seen in the US. It was very odd to me to find people in the common kitchen in their underwear. But that's okay. 8. It is cheaper and easier to eat healthy and generally be healthy in Germany than in the US. 9. The support for children and families, healthcare, childcare, school, etc., is just so much better. It's like you really care about your young citizens. I actually considered for a while doing my PhD in Germany. But alas, that wouldn't have worked for my husband at the time. I would absolutely love to move back to Germany for a while. Spatzel is fucking dope. 10 out of 10. An efficient country with good cars. From my perspective, you've done an admirable job emerging from a very dark period. Also, you guys look pretty organized, which appeals to my type of personality. I would very much like to visit. Edit. Thanks for the background info. Germans. Till Germany is so organized because of significant bureaucracy. I would still prefer this to America, where there is significant bureaucracy and it's still disorganized. I ended up in Munich for a layover on the way home from Sofia and ended up blackout drunk in Freising. A couple nice German fellows made sure I made it back to my hotel. So my one experience. Germany was great. Also, comparing road signs to your map when you don't really read the language becomes exponentially harder after 3 gallons of beer. Deutschland. Rammstein. Beer. Immanuel Kant. Friedrich Nietzsche. Martin Heidegger. Gottlob Frege. Karl Marx. Goethe. Beethoven. Bach. Brahms. Schlieffen Plan. Lived there for about 6 years from age 1 to 7. I loved being able to walk to school. Being able to explore the town without the fear of being harassed or worried. The free soccer programs, at least I think they were free. The bakeries. Got myself a pretzel every morning on my way to school. Ice cream. Chocolate. Schools were strict but I learned a lot. Saufeeen. Morgan's mittagsabends=saufeeen. Worst country. I worked with a guy named Yannick who was German. That was really all I knew about him. He worked for our organization. His name was Yannick, and he was German. He was an IT-type quiet guy. One day, I had a bag of pistachios that I was eating at my desk. Yannick walked by and was waiting to talk to someone else. I said hello and offered him a pistachio. He said no thanks. He didn't like pistachios. Another data point. My mind immediately began searching for a reason why Yannick wouldn't like pistachios, and I connected it to the only other thing I knew about him: he was German. We all know that Germans love efficiency. And pistachios aren't the most efficient snack. There's a little bit of work involved and sometimes you can't get them to open at all. Yannick, as a German, doesn't like pistachios because they are an inefficient snack. This is now something I assume about all Germans. I cannot think of a better example of a country that rose from the ashes of fascism to become a brilliant and enlightened leader on the world stage in such a short time. The German people are a light unto the world today. Danke. Liebe und Respekt aus Kanada. Note: I traveled from Frankfurt to Rammstein, and then around a bit for work over several years. I never got east of Frankfurt. The countryside isn't as beautiful as, say, France or Italy, but it has its own deep and luscious beauty. The thing I noticed the most Which impressed me the greatest was how many windmills there were. Honestly, that visually was the greatest strength I saw, and it told me that the people here were committed to environmental production of power. Or semi-committed at the time they put them in. You know what I mean. That said, castles. Everywhere. Schloss this. Schloss that. That was awesome. The Germans I met while touring were always infallibly polite. Their children, wow. They were treated as little adults. Stood still. Listened politely to tour guides. It made me sad knowing how much trouble I have with mine. The shops were always bustling and staffed with folks that quickly tried whatever English they knew to help out. I could grunt and point. And tried to say thank you. Butchering it horribly, of course. And they didn't mind. There were the seedier places. Of course, wouldn't have been an AB if they didn't have them. Slummier places were. Just that. There was no trash though. And not the level of decay you see in some places in the US. The one thing most people don't realize though is the size of the country compared to places in the US. Germany is smaller than NY. I believe so. Everything is connected. Houses are small. Yards are non-existent. Edit. It was pointed out I made a mistake here. I was thinking. Travel. Times where, because the speed limit is so much higher in Germany, I can cross all of Germany in less time than I can cross all of NY. And since the population is 4x, there isn't the sprawl. It's just far denser. Edit. I hope the impressions help. I loved my time there and am really sad I'll never get to go back. Edit. Oh, the windows. I can't believe I forgot about how awesome the windows are. I want them. So badly. I would have put them in my luggage if I could. Lovely neighbors. Greetings from the Netherlands.